Hi, everyone. How are you? Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay, awesome. I literally just got in from the airport like 5 minutes ago. So I'm so excited for tonight's call. I think it was yesterday, and I planned the whole presentation or 2 days ago. I have been dying to talk about this because I've had some of you who are in here now request this topic. And I am just really excited to chat about why I'm so passionate about this topic and things that I have found, and also give you resources to go and do your own research and find out what the best solution is for you and your family. I think I'm flying solo tonight as far as, here we go. I'm just gonna send a link over to one person. If you know anyone who is waiting to get in, there's somebody who is an unidentified person. I'm not gonna let them in, but who's waiting, let me know. And I'm just gonna send the link over to a friend real quick, and then we are gonna rock and roll. Here we go. Here's an identified person. Okay, so if you see me looking over to the right, it's just because I'm looking to let friends in. I'm gonna do a little introduction. Yeah, and then we're gonna get started. So I'm gonna grab my Young Living chapstick, which is my favorite thing in the world. And I'm gonna grab whatever oil is over on my bedside table. If you are using an oil or a Young Living chapstick tonight, let me know in the comments. I saw that, Janelle. You're like, ooh, good reminder. Okay, perfect. So I have my Lavender Lip Balm, which is the best thing ever during winter time. And joy. Haven't used that in a long time. Okay, so here we go. Oh, cinnamon is so good too. Have you tried the new sweet maple one? If you like cinnamon, oh my gosh, Janelle, you gotta go get that. It is so good. It's mine and my son's favorite ever now. Okay, so diffusing bergamot, lavender. I just put some joy on. Okay, and I appreciate all of you being here on time and ready to learn. So what brings you here tonight? Can you just pop in the comments? Because my whole thing was just, hey, what's in your water? So obviously you may have asked this question to yourself before, or I don't know, maybe you've had an experience, maybe you want to learn more. Let me know in the comments what brings you here this evening. What are you looking to learn, or kind of what piqued your interest? And while you do that, I am going to do a little introduction because I see some new people on here too. So my name is Sarah Paul, and I am super excited to be here. Tonight, I am a wellness educator. I'm a gold brand partner with Young Living, and I love talking about all sorts of things. If you take notice on these community calls, I team up with Katie Smith and also with Sarah Stutzman to do community calls, which are open to anyone. Every Monday night, all the topics, they range, they're very different. And the reason that they are so different is because we go off of, one, your requests. So if you send us messages, we go off of those. But in addition, we go off of what we're really interested in. And that's why when we get on, we're so passionate, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I am going to talk about water this month and it is going to be amazing. And Katie and Sarah were like, okay, great. You talk about water. You sound like you are thrilled to do this. I'd like to learn about that. But it's not really their jam. Coop, you can give me a quick kiss. Hold on, let me give my son a kiss real quick. Ready? Go ahead, say, look at my car.
Yeah.
All right, there's the car. Okay, good night. Good night, I love you.
Wait, what are we doing?
I have to teach. It is time. These ladies are waiting for me. They're being so patient. Okay. I love you. Go to bed. I love you. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about what we are most passionate about. So that's what I'm talking about tonight. It's just something I'm super passionate about. And it comes from some difficulties, great difficulties that we experience. And isn't it interesting how we grow in those areas that we have the most pain in, right? Those pain points that come to us. All right. So I'm just looking at your comments. Want to know more? You have well water, want to get it checked. Learning about different types of filtration, right? That was always so confusing to me. Need to know how to improve your personal quality. Have a Brita, wanting to know if you want to invest in a Berkey. Some people want to know what the heck a Berkey is. Yep. Oh, I love that, Janelle. Did you test your own personal water, or you test water as part of your occupation? Yeah, that's so cool. Yep. Water, not just to drink, water also because you're putting it on your body. And I know so many of you who are here are conscious about what you put on your body, in your body. Water is no different. The water that we shower in, we are, right? Like we are literally bathing in it. We are brushing our teeth with it. Don't want to know more about testing, right? And reverse osmosis, is that good? Under the sink filters, all great things, okay? So we are going to get started. I have a really in-depth presentation. Please ask questions, because that's why we're here. I have tons of links throughout this presentation, and my gift to you tonight is going to be a PDF version of the entire presentation, including every single link, so that you can go back, you can see exactly what I talked about tonight. You can do your own research. I have tons of resources, and that's what we're going to do. So before we go anywhere else, I'm going to share my screen with you. Here we go. Okie doke. Y'all can see my screen. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, here we are. And I'm still letting friends in. Okay. Okay, so here's my presentation for tonight. And this is called What's in Your Water? And I am Sarah Marie Paul. Here's my email. You can feel free to reach out to me there with any questions afterwards, or you can also reach out to me on social media, Mindful Ill Moments for Facebook or for Instagram as well. This presentation will not be available to view on Facebook, but I do keep it afterwards, and I have it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, so I will share the replay. Okay, so tonight's talk, here's going to be the focus. My story, so I'm going to tell you intimately why this is such a passionate topic. And within that, I'm going to share how I found out what was in our public water, in addition, what was in well water for a home that we were going to purchase, and what was in well water for the home that we live in today. How to test, different modes of testing, different types of testing, what to do with the results once you have them, options for your home. And then I'm also going to touch on the importance of minerals and hydration, because for those of you who don't know, I'm very pregnant right now. And during this pregnancy, I've kept up very well on my water intake, but I was having some issues specifically with the mineral content of my water. And that's something that I dug really deep into just in the past several months. So I'm going to talk to you about that, the best ways to get minerals into your body through water, through supplementation, and also through food sources as well. If your mic is on, if you could just mute it, that would be super helpful. So my story, I found this quote, which is a little sad, but I'm also a scuba diver. So I love Jacques Cousteau. I don't know if any of you ever watched any of his documentaries from many moons ago, but the quote, "Water and air, the two essential fluids on which all life depends, have become global garbage cans." Super sad, right? Like, so sad. However, tonight, what I'm going to talk to you about is ways that you can have great quality water in your home at a variety of different levels, at a variety of different financial entry points as well, because I know that some of these solutions are going to be more costly than others, but there are ways that you can start right away. So here's my story. I got married in 2013, 2014, I moved to the suburbs into our little home, our first home that I had with my husband. And we had our son in 2015. Right after that, like our water companies changed, or they like bought out a different water company. I remember receiving a notice that something was different with our water company. And right after my son was born, I was home with him and I would receive these phone calls. And tell me if you've ever received one of these. And I lived in Exeter Township, just outside of Reading. So a very populated area, populated suburban area. But I would get these phone calls that we were on boil advisory, and that we shouldn't drink the water. And it happened in 2016. So I was at home with my son, he was like right around a year, just under a year. And we got 3 of those phone calls in a short amount of time. I want to say within like a 6-month period. And at that time, I'm like, what the heck? Like, I was upset and angry about it, because I was also thinking, how the heck long does it take for them to have this information on hand to then give me a phone call to know that the water was bad? Like, how much of it were we drinking? How long were we bathing in it? How many dishes did I wash in it? How many times did I brush my teeth? Have any of you ever received a notice from your water company that you were on a boil advisory? I'm just curious. Okay. So I received that, and I was like, what in the world? So, and some of you are saying yes, some of you are saying no. Okay. So this is something that it happens. You might want to make sure your phone number is up to date with your water company too, because I had no idea. And I found myself feeling really angry about it. So what I did was what I do when I feel like a situation is out of my control. I began to do some research. And I began to look into, because at this home, this was in a development, typical suburban development with public water. And I began to try to find our water quality reports. Now, it is by law that if you are on public water, let's start there. Who's on public, who's on well water? Can you share in the comments? Let me know if you're on public water. Let me know if you're on well water. If you're on public water, it is by law that the water company provides you annually, with a report of the water quality that you had received for the previous year. Okay, so you should be receiving those reports. Let me just take a look. Okay, so a couple of you have received those. Some of you say that maybe neighboring towns. Okay, couple well, public, well, public. Okay, perfect. Okay, so it's kind of split. I mean, definitely more public water people on the call, couple of well people on the call. So we're going to talk about the differences with that too. So I started my research, and this is what I found. Are you ready for this? So this is the website that I went to, ewg.org/tapwater. I'm going to show you my results for the other house, and I want you to just like really take a look at this. Okay, so this website is fantastic for water quality and also for food information. They also have a product app, which is okay. That portion was kind of bought out by some bigger companies, but this is a different part of their company, the environmental working group, specifically having to do with water quality. So I'm going to tap on here, and here we go. Okay, here's the environmental working group's tap water database. You can do this if you have public drinking water. Okay, so you enter the zip code here. My zip code at the time was 19606. I hit go. This was my water company. Okay, I'm going to show you some nitty gritty here of what I found. Now, this isn't exactly what I found, but this is a very true picture, because this data that I'm showing you now is from the latest quarter, which is January 2021 to March 2021. Okay. Contaminants detected. So there are different types of guidelines when it comes to contamination, contaminants that are in water. And it's important to note that these guidelines have not been updated in over 20 years. So I'm just going to put that out there. Okay. Haven't been updated in over 20 years, but even given that, here is what they found. So here we see 15 exceeded the EWG health guidelines, because just because something is deemed legal, does it mean that something is necessarily safe? I'm just going to ask you that question. I don't know. Just because something is deemed as legal, does it mean that something is safe? What do you think? Is it? I mean, come on. No, right? No. Okay. Sad fact, not the case. Okay. So the EWG has some stricter guidelines that you're going to see as well due to health concerns. And when you see some of these things, I'm really like holding you on the edge of your seats here. But when you see some of the contaminants that were found in the water, you're going to see why it was so alarming. Okay. So we're going to take a look, and they go in alphabetical order. But what you notice first and foremost is going to be the level of arsenic in the water, right? Do you think just a little bit of arsenic is okay? What is arsenic? What do you think? I mean, I knew arsenic. That was like alarming to me, because what I had always known about arsenic was that arsenic is a poison, right? Toxic metal, poison. I don't think a little bit of arsenic is okay. All right. So you can see here that now the legal limit is at a level 10. This utility had about 5, but then if you take a look at what the health recommendations from the EWG, which uses stricter guidelines, it's going to be a very, very small portion of that. Now let's take a look at arsenic in general. Okay, it gives you a definition. It's a potent carcinogen, common contaminant in drinking water, causes thousands of cases of cancer each year in the US. It gives you articles that you can read more about it. So this utility, here is the amount. Here is the legal amount that can be in your water, and it is okay, my friends. I don't know how you feel about that. I know I didn't feel so okay with that. But here's the national average, and here's the state average. So what the heck is happening? You know, I asked myself right away, what's happening with our water here where we're at, that we are still way above national average, way above state average as well, parts per billion. Okay, so that's just one area. And I'm focusing on arsenic because I'm also going to touch on that next in my well water report. But you can take a look at so many other contaminants, okay? And you can see their potential effects. Chloroform's on there, chromium's on there. You can take a look at all of these, and you can see here that there are no legal limits, which means that no legal limits are set for these carcinogenic chemicals or particulates to be in your water. And you can see the levels here and the times, the amount of nitrates, okay? Nitrates specifically. Think about that, of uranium, my friends, okay? Yeah, just, and some other things that I don't know, but I'm, when you go into them, you do the research, you click on details, you go on other information, you find more information about those specifically. So this is what I found. In addition, you can, look at other information on here too. So these are exceeded guidelines or others that are detected. And you can just kind of go through the report, which is here, okay? So that's what I found. Now I'm missing some of your faces, but let me see. Yeah, totally upset, right? So many drinks are testing for arsenic. Yeah, super high, right? Okay, so how do you think I felt after I saw that, in knowing that I had a little baby at home who was having some health issues, right? I was a brand new mama. I was breastfeeding, so I wasn't bottle feeding, but still I was drinking all that water, right? And I thought our water was safe. Like I thought it was going to be safe. So there were many, many questions that came up for me. Why is this allowed in our water? How are they cleaning our water to begin with? Why is this considered clean water? Why is this allowed in my home? Why am I paying for this water to be brought into my home, right? Like all of these questions are things that came up. So I was asking questions like, okay, well, I have a refrigerator that has a filter on the door, and that's where I get most of my water if I'm drinking at home. Will my refrigerator filter take all these things out? Right? That was a question that I had. What about the water that I bathe in? What's potentially happening there? What about the water I brush my teeth in? And like I said before, how long before they call a boil advisory? Like what has to happen if this is what's allowed in our water routinely and this is passing? What has to happen for them to call a boil advisory? Seriously, right? Like what do the levels have to be at that point? And how do they actually clean this water to begin with? So here are answers that I found. Legal doesn't equal safe. Getting a passing grade from the federal government does not mean the water meets the latest health guidelines. Legal limits for contaminants in tap water haven't been tested in over 20 years. And here's some more information that I found. Well, maybe not that one. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Somebody's dog is barking. So I'm just going through. Okay, so what did I find? Well, I went to the good old CDC because this is, who is setting these guidelines for our water, of which I have all sorts of thoughts about that. But look at what they say. Drinking water supplies in the United States are among the safest in the entire world. However, even in the US, drinking water sources can become contaminated, causing sickness, disease from waterborne germs. So they go across that. But what I wanted to show you was how they actually clean it. So if you go through the steps, you can read about all of these steps that typical. Now, I don't know if my specific water treatment plant, because I couldn't find the exact information on their website that shows the process that they go through, but this is a typical process. And when you see what they do at first, I don't know. I'm just going to go to the last, let's go to the last step, disinfection. After the water has been filtered, a disinfectant, for example, chlorine, chloramine may be added in order to kill any remaining parasites, bacteria, and viruses, and to protect the water from germs when it is piped to homes and businesses. Okay, that's like the last step. How do you feel about that? Does anybody feel like all warm and fuzzy about that? No, right? I mean, there is filtration and sedimentation taken out, things like that too. But there's chemicals added here, chemicals in the front, chemicals in the back, to give you your clean drinking water source. They give you more information about it. Oh, and don't forget, my friends, community water fluoridation prevents tooth decay safely and effectively. Okay, so water fluoridation has been great public health achievements of the 20th century. Okay. Yeah. Just to let you know that too. So they're not even going to show you those results because they think that fluoride is like amazing and wonderful and beautiful. So that's something that when you get your tests done, you have to ask for that independently, because that's not even something that's going to show up on here, because this is considered by the CDC something that is wonderful and should make you feel warm and fuzzy. In my opinion, and through my research, it's not. It's a neurotoxin. And that was something that I wasn't putting on my son's teeth. It wasn't something that I was using. And then when I went to look further, yes, of course, it was in our drinking water too. Okay. So this is straight from the horse's mouth. You can go and take this for what it is. I just wanted to give you that information. Yeah. Drinking pool water, right? Who wants a whole bunch of chlorine in their water? How many of you have been places before, like public spaces? I'm thinking airports, because I was just in one, and how they have the water filtration things where you can fill up your bottles, and how a lot of different public places have that smell, right? That chlorine smell to the water. I can even taste it now too. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to drink this water. I don't drink soda, but you know what I mean? I'd rather get something like a bottled beverage instead. So here are different things that I found about that. So after that, here's what I chose to do. So this is a PDF that I'm going to be sending to you, which is from the EWG, which just gives you some great places to start. Okay. So it's tap water, learn what's in it, go to the database. If you have public water, you can filter your tap water, your point of use water, which is your drinking water. So under the sink or at your refrigerator, there are all different types of filters though as well, which is the one thing that I wanted to show you. Let me back up for a second. That's what I wanted to show you here, because they also show you a very brief breakdown. Now, this is very basic about how to filter contaminants out. So here they talk about carbon filters, different filter explanations, step-by-step guide to selecting a home tap water filter, all differences between water filters. This is all on that same website. And there's a guide too. You know, there was a great picture, but let me see here. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I had this later in the presentation. Okay, yeah. So there are different types of filters that you can do, and I'm going to talk more extensively about these in a moment. But there's activated carbon filters, and you can see what it removes, but things that it cannot remove. Okay, so a lot of these are going to be the more inexpensive options that you have in your home. You know, like a pitcher water filter, things like that. This is activated carbon, not charcoal. So this is like more like a Brita water filter and equivalent. Okay, so what it reduces: taste, odor, VOCs, lead, mercury, disinfection byproducts, and PFAS. What it cannot remove: arsenic, fluoride, nitrate, and some other things too. I know something that is not tested for on these reports, but something that is also that I am mindful of is pharmaceuticals that are dissolved in our drinking water. There are large amounts of pharmaceuticals that you can find in drinking water as well. Something to think about. The next part would be reverse osmosis, which many people have these at a point of use system, which is going to be under the sink system, which removes arsenic, fluoride, chromium, nitrates, perchlorate, and PFAS, right? Most of them also include an activated carbon filter. Okay, but then drawbacks. And this is not the same for every single system. I think that these have evolved a little bit more. You used to have to run a reverse osmosis system or run your sink water at the same time that you ran the little portion that where you would get your drinking water from. This is different now, but there's some maintenance involved. It could waste water. And there's something that I'll talk about in just a little bit, which is going to be the mineral content of the water from that type of system, because it basically takes almost everything out of your water. And then finally, an ion exchange, which reduces just about everything, but it also has softens water by removing calcium and magnesium. However, it doesn't reduce levels of most contaminants. So water filtration systems are different than water softening systems too, which I just wanted to make a blanketed statement about that, because we had a water softener at our previous home. We still had a boatload of contaminants because it was just helping with the mineral levels that were in the water, because our water was hard. It wasn't really truly filtering any of the contaminants out of our water. Okay, I didn't know that before. I now know that now. So that is really quick, but I'm going to go over more of those. Yeah, and I'm going to go over a Berkey specifically, because a Berkey is not any of these. A Berkey has charcoal filters. Okay, so I'm going to go to their website in just a moment, and I'm going to show you some of their technology as well. Yeah, yes. Okay, and a lot of you are saying, my gosh, I go swimming in a pool that has chlorine and I feel like I have to rinse it off my body, let alone I don't want to be drinking it, right? So yeah, I'm going to talk about that. The Berkey water filter is different because it does not have an activated carbon filter. It has a charcoal filter that's in it. So I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, so what I chose to do after I lost my mind, like I went nuts. I was so livid and I couldn't believe it. And I remember like I did a live on Facebook and I was just like, why is this allowed in our water? Like I was not in a good place, a good headspace. So I decided, I was like, okay, we need to move, because I don't want public water anymore, because we're paying for this water. We could either move or we could do a whole home filtration system. We kind of wanted to move away from where we were anyway, because we also had neighbors that regularly used Roundup. I don't know what else to say. I hope none of my neighbors are on here, but they regularly used Roundup on their yards, and our yards would literally touch. And we had a garden, a huge garden in our backyard. So they would regularly get their lawns treated. They would regularly have, Roundup chemicals that were being used on their yards. And I just remember feeling like, okay, this is definitely affecting my garden. This is definitely affecting my son who's running around barefoot. And now I know about all this, and now I know about the water. And once your eyes get open to some things, they can't really be shut. So what happened from there? We were like, okay, we're going to look for a new home. We want a new home anyway. We're going to go out to the country. We're going to go to farmland. We're going to find a home. So what happened was we found a home. It was a beautiful, beautiful home. It was in Ole Township, which is like heart of farm country in Berks County, Pennsylvania. And it was the perfect home. Like it was literally turnkey, gorgeous. It had a saltwater pool, which was on my dream list. It still is. And it was absolutely perfect in every way. And my husband and I both fell in love. We put a bid in on the house, and it was accepted. And then it was time for inspections. And what we did at that time, because I was crazy about water, I was like, well, this is well water and I get it. And well water is like better. I didn't really know why, but I'm just like, it's better. Nobody's like messing with it. Nobody's throwing stuff into it, and it just has to be better. So we paid for the most aggressive water testing that you can purchase. So we did well beyond, we contacted a company, which I'm going to give you their information, which was just a property inspection company. We said, hey, we want to test for everything. Like I want to test for for pesticide usage because it's right next to a farm. This was former farmland. I wanted to test for pesticides in the water. We need to test for arsenic. Like my city water has arsenic. How much arsenic could this have? We need to test for every single thing possible because this place has to have clean water, or else we can't live here. My family thought I was insane. I remember even my husband was like, oh, like the normal test is like, and I'm just throwing out numbers here because this was a number of years ago. The normal test is like $50 and we're spending $500 on this water test. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I just want to know like the water is okay. So we took the test, and those levels of arsenic that I showed you in the results that were from our public water. Well, you know how it had that legal limit that was listed, that we were at, halfway there, almost approaching amongst legal limits. Well, the amount of arsenic that was found in our well at this home was ridiculously deep. It was about 300 feet deep, which is quite deep for a well. It had 9 times the legal limit of arsenic completely contaminated in the well. And it was specifically from pesticide usage. And they could tell because they test whether it's organic or inorganic. And the type of arsenic that was found that deep in our well, over 300 feet underground, was again 9 times the legal allowable limit of arsenic, which is, in my opinion, way too high. And we told them, we said, this is unacceptable, and the people who had been living there had young children. And I was like, guys, like your water is toxic, like it is poisonous. And what they said to us was, why did you take the water not from the reverse osmosis system at the sink, at the point of use system? You should have taken the sample from there. I said, no, we shouldn't have. You have that since you had a system in place, which is a point of use system, which means it only filters that one faucet. We should have taken a sample from there and a sample from elsewhere in the home and done 2 samples, right? To see like, what is the actual water that's coming into the house? And then what is the actual filtration system that is in place doing? Is it doing its job? So they were extremely defensive about it. They told us that they thought we were making a big deal out of nothing. And I just said, I'm like, do they know that they've been bathing their babies and brushing their teeth like in arsenic water, like highly 100% carcinogenic causing water this entire time? They had to have known something was wrong with the water because they put the reverse osmosis system in, and you always get tested before, water tested before you do any sort of remediation in the home. And they said, okay, well, then we'll put a whole home filtration system on and we're good. Like we'll pay for it and you can move into the house. And I said, no, thank you, because they were able to pinpoint the cause of arsenic, which was from pesticide usage. The home was still next to an active farm, which I can only imagine was using pesticides still. And I couldn't think about swimming in the swimming pool. I couldn't think about having my son outside. I didn't do any soil testing there. So it's just kind of like that avalanche effect. So we backed out of the home. So what did we do in the meantime? We decided, after looking, that we still wanted to get a new home. We didn't want to invest in a whole home filtration system at that point. But what we were going to do in the meantime was make sure that our water was able to be filtered and not using electricity either. That was important to us, just because if the power goes out, how are you going to get clean water? So that was another thing, just from a sustainable standpoint, which is when we invested in the Berkey water filter. So that's what we did in the intermediate period of still living in that home. And I'm going to share some more information about that with you. So let me just pull up, I thought I had a link there for that, but I'm going to pull up a Berkey real quick. I might have this on another page as well. So we chose a Berkey filter because it was easy. You have to fill it up. It is not super fancy. It looks pretty, but the one that we have, I believe we just have the big Berkey. Wish we would have gotten a bigger one now, but you can go through and it can tell you exactly like information about what it filters out. We might have the stuff above, but this is a standing system, no electricity required. So you could literally in a pinch, like go and take rainwater and put it into this system. And it would be good for drinking water purposes only. Okay. So this is a point of use system, not electric. You have to fill it up every day. Depending on how many people you have in your family, you would want to get a larger Berkey, or else you're going to have to fill it up multiple times a day. And it does take time to filter from the top to the bottom as well through multiple charcoal filters. Okay. And yeah, it's good for an emergency, which is why I have it. I still have this in our new home, which I'll talk to you more about that water in a little bit too. And then they have all different lab results that are in here as well. So you can take a look and see specifically what it filters out, what it doesn't filter out. And it talks all about that on here too. Okay. It's not a water softener. It is strictly a water filtration system. It talks about relieving, getting all the heavy metals out, taking lead out. You can see here that 203 contaminants commonly found in drinking water, including viruses, pathogenic bacteria, chloramine, bunch of other things, pharmaceuticals, which was really important to me at the time too, pesticides, heavy metals, and you can take a look at the entire list of contaminants that are filtered out here. Okay, so that's what we decided to do in the meantime, because our power kept going out too, which I don't even know what was happening there. And I'm like, I need clean water no matter what. And now I need it just to be sustainable in case of an emergency. So there are different ways to test. The way that I showed you, what I would do if you have public water, go to the website, take a look, open your eyes a little bit to what's happening in the water that's coming into your home. If you have well water or public water, you can then go and you can get samples. So there's different ways that you can do this. You can go to a place like we had gone to Martin's Appliance. I'm just going to tell you my honest opinion. I love Martin's Appliance. They're a local appliance store that's in Berks, Lancaster County in Pennsylvania, maybe a couple other counties as well. I always get amazing service. I've purchased all my appliances, multiple homes there. However, when I brought them a sample of drinking water from our home on Madison Drive, they said it was completely clean. Like there were zero contaminants in it at all, which I knew wasn't the case because of the report that was provided from, the report that I showed you is the report that's provided from the water company. So what I recommend is paying for upgraded water testing with a professional. And you can do that. You can request that. You can do that with the first company that we used was basically like an inspection company. We used Suburban Testing Labs. And we literally requested every single water test possible because that's where we were at the time. And that was what was important to me at the time. And I'm going to show you this comparison too. So I thought this was a really good image. My husband, he and I own a company, which is primarily a tech company. But in 2019, our companies kind of merged and I started having interest in his company because I said, I want to be able to do tech healthier. And we were at a conference, which is a national conference called CEDIA, specifically for technology in Denver. And they were doing this Well Home initiative. And it was the booth that was least visited by all these technology people. And I spent 3 days in this booth just talking to everyone about indoor air quality, about water quality, about how to mimic the outside indoors to make the individual healthier and happier in their home. So this is a company that my husband's business works with, and he installs these systems. And I thought it was really interesting because it talks right here. I thought it was a great visual to kind of show different types of filtration that you can do either at point of use systems, which are under the sink or under the sink and at your refrigerator, or whole home systems, which means the system literally filters every single spigot in your entire house. So if you take a look here, there's particle filtration. And you can see if the water's coming in here, here are the different types of filtration systems. And there's particle filtration, there's microfiltration, ultrafiltration, nanofiltration, reverse osmosis, and then superior osmosis. And all of these little particles represent something different that is brought in through your water. So there's salt, there's aqueous salt, metal ions, low molecular weight compounds, proteins, viruses, large organics, bacteria, asbestos, red blood cells, hair, sand, whole particles, all different things, okay? So water's coming in, having all sorts of things in them. There's particle filtration, which can get a little bit of it out, microfiltration, which can get a little bit more out. And you can kind of see how it goes down to nanofiltration, reverse osmosis, which reverse osmosis gets everything out except for like sugar and aqueous salt, I believe. And then there's a product called superior osmosis, which literally gets all the things out of the water. And the particle filtration, microfiltration, that's going to be more common on your, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm thinking of? Your, like your little like Brita filters, different things like that, that you typically just have and you put into the refrigerator and you bring out, that their technology is not that advanced, okay? It helps with taste, things like that, but it's still going to have a lot of particles left in the water. So I thought this was helpful. This is also going to be sent to you in the links as well, so that you can kind of go through and do your own research when it comes to the different types of filtration. Okay, so you test and then you get your results. And then what happens? Well, then you have to find a solution for your needs. You have to ask yourself, what is most important right now? Do I need a whole home solution, right? Like what's in my water? For instance, we had a friend who, my husband recently tested his water, and he had extremely high levels of chromium in his water. And chromium is, have any of you ever watched the movie Erin Brockovich? Heard of it? Yeah, that's like that what you don't want in your water, right? So we went to him, we talked to him about it. Yeah, it was a really hard conversation to have, okay? Because it was beyond, like it was, I can't remember the significance, the exact numerical data, but it was extremely, extremely, extremely high. And we talked to him about different solutions. So what is most important given your results? Maybe if you just have chlorine in your water, right? Like that might be something that you just want to filter in your point of use system. Maybe it's going to depend on where your comfort levels are. So ask yourself, do I need a whole home solution? Do I want the whole home filtered? And it doesn't mean you need it filtered all the same way. For instance, I was just in a hotel in Texas. They had these wellness rooms. If you check out my stories on Instagram, I saved it all as a highlight. They had these pure wellness rooms. In the shower, they filtered just for very specific contaminants. How many of you have ever been at a hotel and you showered and the water just left your skin feeling like cruddy, or like your hair really nasty, or there was some kind of like smell, like that chlorine-y type of smell? Have any of you ever had that happen? Okay, so they had it just specifically filtered for those larger particulates, if that makes sense. Like I'm still not drinking the shower water in the shower. Do you know what I mean? Like I wasn't going there, but my skin felt great. My hair, great. Like I had no issues like I typically do. Typically my skin gets really, really extremely dry when I'm at places like that. So maybe you just want to do something that is not as aggressive as a whole home system, and then do something like nanofiltration or superior osmosis or reverse osmosis at a point of use system, right? If you're staying in your home for longer term, but maybe some of you are renting a home. Maybe some of you are planning to move out of your home in the next, couple years, 1 to 2 years. Well, like us, I said, I don't want to invest X number of dollars in a whole home filtration system, because as you can imagine, when you go through the different types of filtration systems, that also means that your investment is going to be larger in the home. Not saying that there's no resale value to it, but someone also has to see value in that, right? To want to purchase your home. So ask yourself about, what matters most given these results, and talk to your family about it too. Reverse osmosis, nanofiltration, regular filtration, Berkey, a fridge filter, or am I going to go the bottled water route? I drink bottled water when I'm traveling, but 9 times out of 10, I'll still bring a stainless steel water bottle with me. Why? Because of those PFAS chemicals, right? Like I know right now they are not supposed to sell anything that still has BPA in it, but plastic and it having sways in temperature, especially when it's being stored from hot to cold, I believe it still releases chemicals into the water. I do. And you can do your own research on that. But it makes me feel uncomfortable. So you have to test, you have to know your comfort levels, you have to know your results as well to kind of make that decision. Minerals and hydration. So I'm going to talk briefly about this. Minerals in drinking water. And I'm talking about this because the reverse osmosis and the superior osmosis, which are the best quality drinking water filtration systems that you can have in your home, filter out just about everything. Okay. However, we need minerals. We need minerals in our body. The majority of individuals are mineral deficient who are in our country, and that is due to our food and our water being minerally deficient. You can get them through food. You can get them through water. So we know the owner of the company Blue Water. We've talked to him extensively, and I've asked him about this. I said, well, what about, if we're telling someone to do a reverse osmosis system or to do a nanofiltration system and it's taking all the minerals out, how do they get the minerals back into their water then? Because it's a very important source of minerals for your body. And this is a debate. What his stance is that you can get minerals from many other places. And as long as you're having a balanced diet and mineral rich foods, then you should be okay. Well, for me, I'm just saying, how do I know that I'm having a balanced, enough diet and minerals? I don't know. So what are some different options that I could add minerals into my water? That's what I wanted to know, or what specific foods to focus on. Okay, here are some 14 of the best hydration foods that you can have. And you can see the percentages that are listed there, different types of fruits and vegetables that you can incorporate into your diet to help with your hydration levels and that are also mineral rich. In addition, here are some products that I use personally after doing lots and lots of research. These are things that I found. And what I always say is to pick one and to be consistent with it. You can't just use one of these supplements like one time and think that you're good with your minerals. You want to do it habitually. So the Young Living Vitality Drops are actually a really great source of minerals. and hydration and electrolytes. And their source is from the Great Salt Lake, which is really cool because if you also take a look at the other minerals that I'm going to mention to you, the trace mineral drops, which are from a different company, they use the same exact source. So this is like one of the best sources to get true electrolytes from, natural electrolytes, and also mineral content. So my husband and I use these. There are ones that have caffeine in them. We choose not to use those. But we love having these. I always keep one in my purse or in my backpack when I travel. We have them stocked in our refrigerator, and we will use them every day in water. Now, do we use them in every single glass of water? No, but we will use them at least once a day for a tall glass of water in order to get electrolytes and minerals within our body. Young Living also has mineral essence. Okay, mineral essence is a fantastic full spectrum ionic mineral compound that you can use. This tastes much more difficult than the Vitality Drops, just to be transparent there. And it is out of stock right now, but this is very popular. A lot of people love to put it directly into their ningxia, and you can use it as stated. Oh, and Michelle said the ones with caffeine don't have the electrolytes. Thank you for telling me that. Well, I don't use those, so I don't really know. But the other ones that I showed you, the Vitality Drops, do have the electrolytes. Okay, and Sarah you take this in a capsule. Okay, yeah. So this one, the taste is a little bit stronger, but it is fantastic, fantastic. So Natasha, your question, can you add minerals after reverse osmosis? Yes, you can. However, you can do that. And that's one of the things that you can do, remineralization. And yes, I love sparkling mineral water too. We use that wholeheartedly in our home, but we love sparkling mineral water. So you can remineralize your water. There's just different opinions about how much remineralization water needs and like what is enough. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's not as exact. So you can do that. And there are trace minerals that you can add back into your water, which, if this will let me. Can I click on this guy? Maybe not. Hold on. That you can add back into the water as well after you do reverse osmosis. And she says that mineral essence can grow on you. 5 droppers a day. You go, girl. That is so amazing. Okay, let me just see my link. I don't know if I got out of that option or what, but let me see if I can just pull up trace minerals. So the trace minerals is another product that I use. I will put 10 drops into my ningxia. Let me find the exact one, since my link didn't go. I will put 10 drops in my ningxia every single morning. I can hide this pretty well in my son's ningxia too. But there is a remineralization product through them too. I'm not going to find it right now, but I'll include the link when I send that to you. Zinc is a vital mineral. It's not the only mineral that your body needs. I use Mary Ruth's liquid zinc, especially now during the winter season. And here is a link that I have here, which will mention 19 different other best hydrating mineral rich foods for you as well, for some different options. Here are resources that I talked about this evening. The EWG, again, the tap water. Here's the home inspection company that I used because I called a variety of them, and most of them only did the bare bones water testing. This company did all the water testing. These are different whole home and also point of use systems. And I talked to my husband when we were away, and I was like, can I have some of my friends call you? and ask you questions. So he said yes. He has a website. He's also on Facebook, but he is not into social media, but this is his business. And he said that he would do a complimentary consultation for any of you as well. His company does water testing, more advanced water testing, that they would need to come in. They would have to do the testing, send it out to the laboratory to get the comprehensive water testing done. Because like I said, the ones that are just done, you bring a sample in, they do it right there in front of you. I have found them to be not very comprehensive, but this is an offer that he has for you ladies who are here tonight as well. Okay. Yes. All right. And I think that's it. So there you go, ladies. That is what I have for you tonight. I hope that I was able to at least like bring the conversation to the table. Do you have one thing that you learned this evening? One question that you still have? Let me know in the comments if there's any way that I can help you. In addition, I am going to send you all of the resources via email because you're all here. And I am going to include his information as well. So Michelle asked, what's the difference between Steve's and the company that you use to test the well water? They're very different. So the company I used to test the well water was pre-2019. So it was before Steve's company did whole home water solutions and air solutions for the home. In addition, we needed that for inspection purposes, if that makes sense, to prove to the home because we were purchasing a home. So at that time, he didn't have the company. In addition, that company is just a laboratory. So they will give you the testing, but they have no solutions to offer you, if that makes sense. So Steve can do testing, and then he can also offer you different solutions based on whatever your budget is and price point. Does he service Lancaster County? Yep, he goes all over the East Coast. He works all the way from New York down to Florida. Mineral essence in my vanilla spice protein drink. Gail, you are smart. Is he asleep? I think Cooper's asleep already. So that is very smart, Gail, to hide it in your vanilla spice protein drink. I just need to put my big girl panties on. So Michelle, he doesn't specifically test it himself. Like there's my husband right there, Steve. Okay. He's putting Cooper to bed. Can you come here for a second? Okay. So you do not take the water sample test. Like we don't have a laboratory here, obviously. That's not what we do in our home, but he works with Blue Water. Do you want to talk about the testing real quick? Because I just went through my whole presentation about he like doesn't even know what I'm talking about the water testing.
Yeah.
And they asked to make sure that you can do comprehensive, extensive water testing.
Yeah. We have two sources for it. But basically we look at your existing water treatment. If you have any, determine whether we need to take one or two samples, i.e. like one from your main and then one from a sink to see if your current system is working correctly, or if you need more, or it's not matched correctly, etc. But we just send out the water samples to labs and they send back a report and we formulate a solution from there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
And Rhonda, no, I'm not saying that I don't know if your whole home system is effective or not. I'm just saying that when I took my water sample in, which was literally me filling up a water bottle, taking a sample into them and having them test it, they tested it directly on the spot. They did not send it out for any further lab testing. Like I know that they did not do extensive testing for me personally, that they just tested for a few contaminants and nothing came up at all, even though I knew that there were contaminants within my water. So I don't know specifically for you what you could do and what I recommend doing, which is a great point. Even if you have a remediation system in your home, I recommend testing your water once a year, no matter what. Maybe not as extensively, but things can change. within a year's time, especially if you have public water. Different things can happen. And like Steve said, even if you have a remediation system that's in place, things can happen where your filtration needs to be adjusted slightly. Different filters might need to be added in order to filter the contaminants that are in your home, like at that time. So I don't know specifically, you would have to do water testing. I don't know if you've had water testing done since then, but that's what I would personally recommend. And that's what I feel comfortable with. So what I'm going to send to you really quick is the little sheet here, which will have me collect your information, your email, in order to send you the presentation and all the information. So I'm just going to pop that into the comments here. And I am going to also put it in the Facebook group as well if you want to fill that out, but just fill it out. It'll take you like a minute. Give me your email. I go off of that just to know who actually showed up live, and I will send out the email by the end of the week. And Natasha said companies will do extensive lab testing, but they don't have knowledgeable solutions for you. We've done this and know where to go with our results. I understand that too. And yeah, Steve is a great resource because I think my passion rubbed off on him. He knew how crazy I was about it. And it was great because it's something that we can, bond with and that we can try to help others with as well. So if you have any other specific questions, feel free to reach out to me or reach out to him, and I'll include all the other details in the email as well. And please give me, your feedback too. Next week's call is going to be fantastic. I will send the link to our next week's community call as well. So I hope that all of you have a great evening. I'm sorry that I ran a couple minutes afterwards, and I hope that you all sleep well. All right, take care.